Welcome to drivenmavens.com. My name is Arvind, and we are going to finish off the year with a couple of videos with probably one of the more difficult videos, or I'm sorry, more difficult perspective views, and that's the top three-quarter front view sketch. So anyway, without further delay, we're going to start off with establishing our wheelbase and establishing where our perspective lines are going to be, which is really going to dictate where our minor axes are going to be for the ellipses. What you're seeing here as I go through this stuff, I just want you to understand nothing on this part of the video is going to be sped up. This is what I'm doing in real time, and that's why we're going to split this up. It's just a whole lot of goodness, I gotta tell you, because we want to make sure that you understand what's the rate of speed that I actually do draw. Some of the videos are sped up quite a bit, but I want you to take the time to kind of absorb it and understand the complete process as I start to flesh out this vehicle. So what we've done here is we have established the wheelbase. I've got my two ellipses that I've added in here. I'm going to start to define what the back of the vehicle, where the back of the vehicle is going to be of this BMW 3 Series. And I'm going to establish just where the window is going to be on the rear portion. So before I even get to the other side and get to the width of the vehicle, I'm just kind of laying down where I think my character or my profile of the vehicle is going to be at. There we go. I defined that rear edge. And a slight detail where the tail lights are going to be. Now we're going to start adding some definition here to the front. I'll have to be honest, this is something even I've struggled with as I used to practice some of these sketches. Not easy. But with practice, things do get better. Alright, so what I'm doing now is, you see the minor axis of the ellipse for the front wheel. I'm just starting to flesh it out and start to show what the actual width of the car is going to be. And your typical width is going to be about 3 wheel lengths across. So you got probably about 2.5 to 3 wheel spacing between the front and the rear tires, and then the width of vehicles are usually around 3 wheel lengths. That's what establishes the overall proportions of the car. Now I'm kind of speeding right through this stuff. I'm not showing you how I've kind of dissected that, but most of this of what I'm doing right now is really an estimate. If I broke it down, I think it would it'd probably take quite a bit longer to kind of show that process. So we're kind of skipping to kind of the good stuff as I just sketch through and start adding some detail. So the first part of this series of what you're going to see, or part of this video, what you're going to see is one, establishing that wheelbase, like I had mentioned, and getting the proportions somewhat nailed down. I won't say somewhat, it's pretty much, you got to get the proportions nailed down, this first step. And you do all this stuff way before you start to define the details. Now I've got my center line, I've identified where that center line is going to be, and then I'm going to start adding where the main character of the grille is going to be. Now that grille, for any vehicle, really defines that particular brand. BMW, you got the split grille in the center. You see that grille, or you see that character of that grille pretty much throughout the history of that vehicle. And all they've done is that they've kind of evolved that shape over the decades. Same thing with Chrysler. When you look at Dodge, Dodge typically has the cross grille in the center. You don't see anything that's deviated from that. That really defines the brand of the vehicle. And you want to make sure that anytime you are designing for a particular OEM, that you don't mess with that particular brand and change the fundamental core design principle that's related to that brand. So you're going to see that with a grille. You're going to see that with a few other details. A lot of the retro styling that you may have seen in some other cars, whether it's American OEMs or European, is that they always take some sort of element from the past, and then they try to reinterpret that into the future. So that's what you do here when you start looking at the grills, is that you are reinterpreting it for the future and bringing some excitement and some excitement to it, I guess. Okay, so now we got the headlamps. Those are defined. I threw that in there. Foreshortening is always a tough thing to do. It's always the toughest thing to kind of nail down as you start to draw vehicles in perspective. Okay, so we're going to start adding a little bit more detail. We're going to get into the grille area. We're going to define those shapes, and then we got to do the fog lamps. So notice what I'm doing is I'm just kind of setting everything up. I'm not adding a lot of details, because as I go through, if you start to add a lot of details before the foundational elements are established, then what's going to happen is that you're going to quickly find out later if something is completely out of whack or something doesn't seem to make sense. Well, then you've just wasted all that time doing all the sketching and the cross-hatching and that sort of thing, and it was all for naught. So bottom line, make sure that the fundamental character of the vehicle is set and it's put in pretty lightly before you start adding in any details and elements. And above all, make sure that the perspective you are using is correct. In fact, what I've got here is my front ellipse is actually correct. It's the minor axis that I've got in there is slightly skewed, so I'll correct that as I start adding these elements in. I really enjoy this. This is really great practice. We get really busy at work, and oftentimes nobody ever has time to even draw. You all realize that if you guys are aspiring designers and things like that, and you start working, once you get into the real world, things are a little bit different. There's not much time for making things look very pretty and spending a lot of time on a nice, beautiful, completed rendering. You don't have time for that. You end up just getting a sketch in, belting it out, and then showing the concept to your manager and then moving on. It's about generating as many ideas as you can. And I think when you do get into a final presentation, then yeah, you are you spend a lot of time to put that information together, and possibly working some overtime to get the presentation together before you start to pitch the idea to your managers. There we go. Just got the perspective line corrected there on that minor axis for the front wheel. I'm going to keep going here. Okay, now we want to make sure that we get the character line established. BMWs, they have a very pronounced character line down on the side, and it's just beautifully executed because you really see the sharpness and the tautness of the surfaces in that particular area. So when you get a reflection or a reflection that defines that shape, it is very well pronounced. Probably one of the easiest things to even do as a marker rendering because it instantly becomes a graphic, a very well-known graphic, and it's pretty graceful too. A lot of sharp lines, and that theme is consistent throughout the vehicle. You'll see all sorts of detailing that is pretty much consistent with the front or the rear. And this is all part of industrial design. I mean, having repetitive elements is what you call repetition in industrial design. Repetition and rhythm. So those kind of principles, when you start to design something, is that you want to have a consistent theme, and you want to have a consistent sort of design elements that are used throughout the product, whether it's a consumer product or even automotive. Whatever kind of elements that you use on the exterior, you want to see if you can use those same sort of elements in the interior as well. That way the entire vehicle has a sense of harmony and a purpose. Anyway, this is pretty much it. We're just wrapping up. Now we've got all the elements to set up for our second part. So I hope you enjoyed this video, the bonus video, and we will see you here next time on dripmavens.com. Have a good one.